All right, all right. Welcome back to Eyes of Media. Brother John here. Hope you guys are doing well. Okay, so let's talk about modern women and modern men not marrying because this is a subject and this is what's being talked about on social media a lot these days. A lot of women in group chats and Facebook groups and all types of groups are talking about deciding not to marry and deciding to pursue businesses instead. And then you got modern men and on social media and Facebook groups and stuff like that and chat groups saying that they can't find a suitable wife. Right? Many of the women that they look at are not suitable for them. Not suitable wife material. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean. They don't know how to take care of a household. They're not disciplined. They don't want children, like things like that. They're not structured. And they didn't come up in a many of these modern women did not come up in a structure of marriage. They came up in a structure of a single mom or a single father. Okay, and so they weren't prepared to be wives, right? And we see that mostly, not mostly, but we see that a lot in the African American bronze community. We don't see that much in the Asian community, but we are starting to see a lot of single Asian women. That is a trend that is exploding right now. Asian women deciding not to get married early. That's a trend that is happening right now because Asian women are usually married by the time they're 25. They're married, they have the degrees and they're married. But we're seeing in America now, in Japan and other countries, maybe it's different, but in America, there's a lot of Asian women that are 25 and older that are single, and so this is a trend that is really shocking, right, to many people. There's so many single Asian women in America. And you would think they would be married because they understand that the marriage is a protection for them and their communities. And so we have this we have this trend that's going where modern men are saying they can't find wives, and then modern women are saying to each other that we don't want to be wives. So this is not going to end well for our communities and for humanity as a whole, because if women don't want to be wives anymore and men can't find wives, then we're going to have a bunch of single people and nobody and a bunch of baby mamas, right? Because modern women will not want to be your wife, but they will have a child with you. It's completely backwards, right? So they will let you, a man that they don't want to be a wife to, they will let them have a child with them. And so what's happening is modern women are using their children as their husbands, right? They're replacing husbands with children. And we're seeing this in the epic rate of modern women that have children is also um getting crazy, right? Where we're seeing modern women with children with no man. It's a woman with one kid, two kid, three kids, with multiple baby fathers, and they are not. I mean, but they used to be ashamed of this stuff, but now they walk around with their head held high, and they're not ashamed anymore. They're literally on social media with their three children, with different baby daddies, and they are happy, or not. They're not happy, but they're not ashamed, right? They're literally glorifying it. But in the background, they are ashamed. In the background, they are life is tough with three children, with three baby daddies. So they're pretending on social media, giving this fantasy that, yeah, look at me, I'm a modern woman with three children with three different guys. Yeah, life is great, life is cool. I don't need no man. I don't need this. I don't. But in reality, life is hard for them. They're struggling. You know what I mean? And they're not getting the support they need. and but they're not letting people know that on social media, so people don't even care. People are like, oh well, three baby daddies, and I guess she's all that, look, she got a nice outfit on and she's smiling. I guess all life is good, but life isn't good in reality, right? They're living in a fantasy, right? They're living in a fantasy. I text I text one of my friends today about living in fantasies. Modern women, and I also posted on Instagram about modern women and living in fantasies. Modern women and also modern men as well, but mostly modern women. This living in a fantasy is what modern women love to do. They hate reality. It's almost modern women cannot stand reality. Anybody that deals with a modern woman understands that. Modern women cannot deal with reality. You ask them simple questions, they cannot answer because that's reality. They want to live in a fantasy, right? And so they will literally tell you that, they will literally tell you that, things are hard and I'm going through this, I'm going through that, and then they'll get up on social media and say, man, life is great, because they don't want people to know that they're struggling. They don't want people to know that they're struggling with depression or struggling with anxiety or struggling with things. They want to keep that to themselves and to their family members, but to everybody else they want to put on a smile on their face, like this woman right here. We don't know what she's going through and struggling with, right? But when they cameras are on and social media's on, it's always a smile. If every woman is smiling on social media, why is depression up? Why is anxiety up? Why is murder up? Why is suicide up? Why is missing women up? Why is kidnapping up? Why is all of these domestic violence cases up if every woman on social media is smiling? You see what I'm talking about? It's because they're living in this fantasy where they want to pretend that everything is great, but yet behind the scenes, it's not great, right? Many people are going through crazy times, right? And so what's happening is modern men and modern women are not seeing eye to eye, and modern men are saying we can't find wives, and modern women are saying we don't want to be wives. So this is why, if you look at the communities out there, especially the African American community, it's being destroyed. There is no leadership. There is no male leadership. Everything is not in God's order. Interesting that when you don't do God's order, everything starts to fall apart, and people try to make excuses for why things are being destroyed and falling apart in the community. They don't want to say that they're not. It's because they're not following God's order. They try to say because it's mental health and all these. All this is all this is excuse not to use God, the word God, not to use the Father in heaven, because they some of them don't believe in God, or they don't want to use God in their statements, so they stay away from God, and they say the communities are breaking down because of mental health issues and things like that. No, the communities are breaking down because they're not following God's orders, right? They're not following God's commands. They're not following the will of God, which is a male and a female, and marriage and babies and a legacy and building together. They're not following that structure of a man and a wife, with a man finding a wife. The women, you have to be a wife, already made a wife, right? Through growing up and learning how to cook and clean and be a wife, and be nurturing and caring and things like that, right? So and being feminine, and being feminine, you can have your disagreements but still be feminine, right? You don't have to have attitudes, right? You don't have to have attitudes that blow up the entire relationship or a marriage and stuff, because some of you women have your attitudes are so bad that it literally destroys friendships and marriages. That should not be that shouldn't be there with women. That should not happen. Okay, but it does every single day. Somebody right now is going through that right now, and that some man is right now walking out of his 10-year marriage right now because of a woman's attitude, and because she can't stop. right? So that should not happen though, ladies. If you're feminine, if you're in your femininity and you're feminine, you will not, you might disagree with stuff, but you will stay in your feminine. Your power is your femininity. It's not being masculine. You lose everything when you become masculine, women, ladies, and you know that. Whenever a woman becomes masculine, she literally loses her kingdom. Right? It's when she's feminine and she stays in her feminine role is when her kingdom prospers because it's in God's order, it's in God's laws. Okay, so when you saw your grandmother and great grandmothers stay in their, when they had disagreements with their husbands, they stayed in their femininity because of the order, because of they know that coming out of that will destroy their relationship with their husband, but it will also destroy the family. So they stayed in their femininity at all time. Not maybe they slipped up once or twice, but majority of the time they stayed in their feminine. We have women now that are they don't even wait till marriage. They're out of their femininity as boyfriend and girlfriend. They show you who they are before you can even put a ring on it. Thank God they do because it saves men a lot of trouble. But many women are not in their femininity; they are in a masculine roles and they want to be masculine. They want to dominate. They want to come out of the order of God, and that's what brings chaos. And this is why women don't want to marry. And right now, women don't want to marry, right? Because they want to be masculine. They want to be masculine. They want to be dominant, and they don't want discipline and structure. But the problem is, women, is that when you don't want to marry, you don't want structure, you don't want discipline, your life is chaotic, right? You end up with three babies with three different baby daddies and financial debt and difficulties and all types of trauma, right? And so you rather have that. You rather do all of that than be with one man and be under a structure and discipline. That's psycho. It's like a psychopath. You know what I mean? You rather be in complete chaos as a modern woman than to be married to one man and have structure and discipline and live a fruitful life with a legacy and a family. You're trading that in to live this undisciplined, unstructured, chaotic lifestyle of just doing whatever, having 10 guys, on your booty call list, right? You have 10 guys. I mean, women never used to roll like this. And now we have modern women that literally have 10 guys, 10 to 15 guys on their booty call list. I know several women who have 10, 15 guys, lined up that they can call when they're lonely and horny. What? You know what I mean? Like women are literally doing these things that they can catch diseases and all this stuff and the chaos. They rather have the chaos and the undisciplined and unstructured life than be with a husband. And they always go back, and every time you hear them speak about why they don't want to be married, oh, I saw my grandmother and my mother struggle, and they struggled when they were married. I saw them struggle. They had to, my art, the grandfather or father got ill and they had to take care of. I don't want to do that. I don't want to love somebody like that. I don't want to be responsible for someone like that. And that's what you always hear them say. They don't want to be responsible for nobody, but yeah, you get responsible for your children, right? Yeah, you have to take care of your children, so you're replacing a man with children. And then also they always say, "Well, I'm not on pace to have enough money to survive off of retirement, but my children are going to take care of me." That's what we hear modern women say that all the time. Oh, I have two children; they'll take care of me. No, that's not their job. right? And that's not, yeah, you're having children to take so that you can so that they can bear the blunt of your financial irresponsibilities when you get into retirement. That is terrible. That's disgusting. That's terrible, right? And so this is what modern women are doing. Modern women are escaping marriage for destruction and chaos, and modern men are saying there isn't any modern women to marry that are wives. We can't find any modern women that are wives. They all want to play games. They all want to just be baby mamas. They don't like discipline and structure. It's not till modern women turn 40 when they realize that, uh-oh, I made a wrong decision. Why does it have to take that long though? Why can't you know that you made a wrong decision after the first year, after the first 6 months, after the first 3 years? Why does it take you up to 40 years old when you're now in an old age basically for a woman, right? And you can't bear children. And some of you guys, some women can bear children, but it's very very dangerous and risky at that age. But why does it take modern women till they're 40 years old to realize that they've made mistakes? That they've made a mistake. Why can't they learn from the other modern women that have already gone through that? Why do they have to go through and say, "Let me do it on my own. Let me see. Let me do it on my own. Let me start these businesses, as real estate and all these other online MLM businesses. Let me see if anything can get going." And then by the time they're 40, 45, they're like, "Man, nothing got really going, and I'm still struggling, and I don't have a legacy. I don't have a husband to back me up or anything like that. I made the wrong decision. I pursued school and all this stuff, education in school, and I don't have a legacy. I don't have a family to fall back on and to support me." So we gotta understand that we're doing things the wrong way. We're doing things the wrong way, right? And we gotta get back to God's order, right? So modern women, stop pursuing chaos. Come back to reality and live in reality. If you make $30,000 a year, you make $30,000 a year. Stop being on Instagram acting like you make $900,000 a year. Stop acting like you're gonna be a millionaire. In the next one, you're gonna be a millionaire, but you're not doing anything to change your 30,000 a year. It'll be different if you were making 30,000 a year and you're saying that you're going to be a millionaire through investing. That's different, right? If you're investing, if you're investing in stocks, you're investing in cryptos, you're investing in gold and silver and other things, and you say through my investments, I'm going to become a millionaire one day. That's a different story. But women aren't saying that. Women are saying, I'm at a high school degree level with some college, and I'm making $30,000 a year. But at some point, I'm just going to make $1 million. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. That's fantasy. We all know that. Anybody who has lived 20 years on this planet Earth know that that's fantasy. That doesn't happen unless you win the lottery, right? To go from $30,000 to have $1 million net worth. It takes investing, right? It takes investing. You might be able to get there on opening of a business, but most people get there through the stock market or the cryptocurrency market or through real estate, owning land and turning it into passive income, right? By renting your real estate out, right? Or through gold and silver, right? Just accumulating, 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 watching the prices rise over time. That's a really slow grind through mutual funds, Roth IRAs, retirement accounts where your company that you work with matches you 6% or 7% match. Pension accounts. That's how you become wealthy. But that's a slow grind. That's a slow 10, 15, 30 year grind, 20-year grind. It's not overnight. So we got modern men who can't find wives, who are saying they can't find wives, and then we have modern women who say they don't want to be wives. They'd rather live in chaos. And so our communities are in chaotic because we're not in God's orders. So we got to come back to God's orders. We got to come back to God's orders to fix our communities. And I think that's going to happen next year. I really do believe that next year, 2022, we're coming home. Women are going to stop this rebellion against being wives, and they're gonna finally see the light. And modern men are going to be able to also see the light as well, and they're going to come together, and we're going to have lots of marriages next year. We're going to have lots of legacies being started, and I think next year is going to be the year where we're going to come together. We're going to come back home, and we're going to rebuild our communities, and the church is going to start rebuilding as well. So I look forward to it, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, if that's you, if you're a modern woman right now and you're rebelling against marriage and all this stuff, and you want to be a single mom and suffer and be in chaos and non-discipline, you need to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I in God's orders? Is this the life I want to really live? Or do I need to straighten up, get rid of that attitude, be in my feminine role, and be a wife and leave a legacy and be happy? Right? You're not happy if you're living in chaos. It's up and down, up and down. One day is good, 3 days are bad. One day is good, 3 days are bad. And that one day that's good keeps you from basically committing suicide. Because if every day was bad, you would probably commit suicide. But because that one day is good, it erases the other 3 days that are bad. And so you just keep going in the cycle of one day good, 3 days bad. One day good, 3 days bad. But yet you're on Instagram and you're on social media smiling and smiling like everything's okay. When in reality, it's a complete mess, right? So we got to understand that. We got to understand that we can't live in fantasy. We got to come back to living in reality. Isn't that what Iraq's going through right now? They're living in a fantasy. They're not living in the reality. So that's why the revaluation hasn't happened yet. They have to come back to reality. We're living in a fantasy here in America with the US dollar being able to print unlimited amount of money and not seeing the effects of it yet. That's going to change. We're going to come into our reality. We're going to come off the fantasy and live in reality, and people are going to suffer because of that. Many countries around the world, like Zimbabwe, Vietnam, and South Korea, and others, Indonesia, are not living in reality. They're living in fantasy. They're living in a financial system that is a fantasy. And once they come into reality, things are going to change drastically for many people. So we got modern men and modern women got to come back to reality, come back to God's order. All right. And when we do that, guess what? The communities will be strong again. Communities will be better. Boys won't be acting like girls, and girls won't be acting like dudes. And things will come back into their natural order. And we will protect our communities and protect ourselves and be Americans and be whatever country you're in. And we have structure, constitution, and laws again. Peace out. God bless. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Eyes open.